Darius had always been a man of contradictions. His striking ebony skin and good looks had turned many a head in the tight-knit communities of Roselle Borough and the vanishing Italian enclave of Cranford Township. Yet, beneath that handsome exterior lay a life entangled in the dangerous web of the Italian mafia. His 20s had taken him down a treacherous path, but the Italians had a soft spot for him. He now peddled drugs for those with vested interests in the shadows. On this particular day, destiny had taken a cruel turn. Darius had arrived at his car parked on a bustling road, the cacophony of urban life forming the backdrop to his impending misfortune. The bags of cocaine he'd stashed in the trunk held a weight that transcended their physical mass. As he turned a corner on the sidewalk, his world spiraled into chaos. Two cars had collided with devastating force, and the mangled wreckage had catapulted one vehicle into the rear of Darius's car. The trunk, once a clandestine repository for illicit cargo, was now exposed to the world, and its damning contents lay bare 10 bags of cocaine, the sordid currency of his trade. The arrival of the police at the accident scene had sent a shiver of dread down Darius's spine. He knew that these moments held the power to reshape his future, sealing his fate in the unforgiving world he had chosen. A primal instinct for survival propelled him into action. He hid, vanishing into the murky underworld of the city. Days turned into nights as he navigated the treacherous maze of alleys and backstreets, waiting for the inevitable reckoning with the Italian mafia. And then, in the suffocating confines of a dark alley, they found him. The mafia had a timeless tradition for dealing with traitors, chains and rocks, a sinister maritime ritual. They dragged him onto one of their boats, the pallor of doom lingering in the cold, salty air. As Darius descended towards the abyss, plummeting into the frigid waters of the bay, he resigned himself to a watery grave. In that bleak moment, he realized that this was not his day, that the tides of destiny had turned against him, and that he was about to meet his end. The darkness swallowed him whole as he sank deeper into the fathomless ocean. It was night, and the waters were murky, offering an eerie canvas for his despair. Two crimson dots pierced the obscurity, glowing ominously in the distance. The dots grew closer, and as they did, Darius's fear escalated. The dots weren't mere dots, they were eyes set into the skull of a being that defied the laws of life and death. A human, or at least something that had once been human, now reduced to a grotesque, rotting skeleton. It moved with a macabre grace, steadily approaching Darius in the watery abyss. Terror seized Darius's senses as the skeletal abomination closed the distance. It snaked its bony fingers around his throat, a cold grip that should have spelled the end of his struggle. Yet, inexplicably, Darius regained his senses, his breath returning in ragged gasps. The skeleton's eye sockets, filled with malevolent crimson light, locked onto his own. It spoke, its voice a haunting echo that reverberated within Darius's mind. "I bear the curse of the bay," it rasped. "To live, you must accept my bidding." The voice bore a weight of darkness, promising a contract more sinister than Darius could have ever fathomed. "Accept," it intoned, "and you shall take my place, as I take yours. Your body will be free of these chains, and I shall be reborn in your flesh, and you shall languish here with this rotting vessel until another descends into the abyss." The skeleton paused for a few seconds. "You can do your own contract with the next unfortunate traveler. If you refuse, well, you will die here and now." In that surreal moment, Darius's mind teetered on the precipice of despair. Death loomed, but acceptance offered a glimmer of hope, however faint. Against all reason, against the warnings of his instincts, he accepted. As if in response to his choice, the chains that bound him to the ocean's floor began to fracture. A ghastly light radiated from them, filling the abyss with an eerie luminescence. The skeleton, now infused with Darius's essence, broke free from the shackles that had held him captive. And in the black depths, Darius's original body, now controlled by another, began a journey of its own. It swam upward with newfound purpose, as if possessed by an otherworldly drive, leaving behind the cursed realm of the skeletal abomination. Months passed, and Darius's consciousness resided within the grotesque remains of the skeleton. He had become the very abomination that had saved or cursed him. Yet, in the impenetrable darkness of the bay, he clung to the hope of another soul's descent, another unwitting victim who would trade places, offering Darius a chance at redemption or an eternity of aquatic purgatory. One night a woman descended into the abyss, bringing with her a cacophony of despair. She screamed, her voice swallowed by the suffocating water. Her struggles were futile, her strength sapped by the weight of the rocks tethered to her waist. Her hair billowed out like a phantom's veil as the ocean claimed her. Darius, the spectral guardian of the depths, approached the woman, his skeletal hand extending towards her. He could feel her panic, her desperation for air. He seized her by the throat, not to harm, but to provide a lifeline and eerie exchange of breath that allowed her to continue. The woman, on the precipice of unconsciousness, listened to the chilling offer that resonated in her mind. "Accept my contract," Darius whispered, "and you shall live, becoming the keeper of this cursed realm. Wait for another to join you, and then your redemption shall be at hand. Refuse, and you shall die here and now." The woman's acquiescence brought a renewed sense of hope, as the ropes and rocks binding her body began to glow with an ethereal light. They shattered into pieces, and Darius, now within the woman's form, surged upwards towards the surface, leaving the shadows of the bay behind. Coughing and gasping for air, Darius emerged from the water's embrace, his consciousness now inhabiting the woman's body. He knew that his path to salvation, or perhaps damnation, had only just begun. The mysterious transformation had left him with the identity of Sophia, a woman in a world that presented both unfamiliar challenges and opportunities. To regain his original body, Darius knew he must navigate a perilous path, one that led him deeper into the heart of the Italian mafia. In this new guise, Sophia secured a job within the organization, a facade she adopted with the understanding that certain sacrifices had to be made. The treacherous journey to reclaim what was rightfully hers had begun, leading her down dark alleys and perilous liaisons. One fateful night, she discovered a peculiar twist of fate. Jack and Darius's shared body was to make an appearance at a nightclub, and Sophia saw an opportunity to reclaim her original form. Concealing a syringe filled with a potent tranquilizer, she ventured into the club, her determination masking the fear that lay beneath. Inside, Jack and Darius reveled in the dimly lit ambience. Jack's intentions had taken a sinister turn, but he remained unaware of the ominous presence of Sophia. As they kissed and moved towards the exit, Sophia's plan was set into motion. With calculated precision, she injected Jack, who slumped into the passenger seat as she commandeered the driver's seat and sped towards the bay. Desperation led her to make a fateful call to Roscoe, a friend whose loyalty was unshakable. But as she uttered the words in her newfound voice, Roscoe's skepticism threatened to unravel the audacious plan. Hours passed, the bay's inky waters cloaked in silence, before Roscoe finally relented and accepted that the woman in front of him was Darius and the body next to her was a stranger. Darius pleaded with Roscoe to help, knowing that something inexplicable and dangerous was unfolding. The boat sailed towards the bay, carrying with it the clandestine hopes of a man trapped in a borrowed body and the secrets that lay buried in the depths below. As they neared the location, Sophia could sense the weight of destiny pressing upon her. With conviction and desperation, she explained the unthinkable truth to Roscoe, begging for his assistance in disposing of her current body. It took hours of pleading and the gravity of her words for him to understand the extraordinary circumstances that had brought them to this nightmarish juncture. In the ghostly waters of the bay, Sophia prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice. She plunged into the depths once more, drowning but driven by the prospect of a second chance at life. The crimson eyes reappeared, and the skeletal abomination drew near. This time, the skeleton's sockets were wide open, filled with excitement at the impending exchange. As it clutched the throat of her own body, the contract was forged anew. The woman, whose real name was Sarah, now swam with anticipation of freedom. She came out of the water and was helped by Roscoe onto the boat. Roscoe asked, Darius, is that you?" "No," said the woman, "I'm Sarah." With that, Roscoe knew what to do next and grabbed Darius's body, now awakened and controlled by Jack, but tied up with ropes and rocks. Roscoe threw Darius's body into the water, saying, "Sorry, Darius." Darius, once again in the abomination's body, looked like it was smiling as his red eyes sought his body descending, struggling with the ropes to be free. As it finally reached the bottom, Darius, with his skeletal hand, grabbed his own body by the neck so Jack could breathe. "Well, said the abomination, "we meet again, Jack, and now it's me who has a contract for you." As Darius came out of the water, Roscoe yelled, "Please tell me you are Darius." Darius, back in his body, nodded to Roscoe. "Yes. It's me, Roscoe. I'm back." And in the dimly lit cabin of the boat, amidst the quiet murmur of the waves, Darius, the man who had become entwined with the cursed depths, whispered to himself, "Now, I have a few Italians to visit." The dark waters of the bay concealed their secrets, as the night swallowed them whole.